Hey, this is Tracy Lewis with Stuff and Things, and it is paper pumpkin time. I don't dare ride the bike and film at the same time, so this is what it looks like when it is in my front basket on the way home. So stay tuned for more paper pumpkin fun. Alright, I am back. We have Welcome in June 2023. I got this pretty quickly, which is lovely, and I don't have anything on my schedule to conflict. We have Night of Navy is our spot. And what have we got for Welcome In? We have Welcome. Thank you for your hospitality, friend. You're invited. Some flowers, a vase, a single flower, a squiggle. A very nice set. All right, so this coordinates with the Countryside Inn suite. And then there is a Welcome In add-on. I haven't checked to see if it's still available. And it is a die, I think it's 2 dies. The vase and the flower. I am going to move the camera down now. That I have moved the box out of the way. I hope everyone is experiencing nice weather. Hub just told me that we have some weather storms out in the Atlantic. 2 storms. One in the Atlantic and one down in the Caribbean. And this will be our first year in a home. We have been here in Florida through 3 hurricanes. 2 of them we were in the RV, and in the one case we actually fled Florida. That was last year for Ian. We fled up to North Carolina. We needed to be up there anyway, but we had to leave a day early. And then the Michael came through in 2018. And we actually did the opposite. We went down through the Panhandle a day in advance to get to Orlando. So we did hunker down. It didn't cross Orlando, but we did have some pretty squally, wet weather for a couple of days, actually, when Michael came through. And then for Nicole, we were here in our home. And it was nice to be, we've been in an RV for 7 years, so it was nice to actually be in a real home during a storm. Even in Oregon, 2 winters ago, there were some pretty wild storms. We stayed on the coast. All right, so what we've got here are some very beautiful coordinating. I do have the DSP, the Countryside Inn DSP. I do not have the stamps or dies. The envelopes are all the same. Nope, they're not the same. Sorry. I take that back. Yes, they are all the same. I thought I saw a different design. All right, so we are making 9 cards, it looks like. Here are the dies. 3 sheets. And I am no, this definitely, we have designs. All right, so we have front and back designs, 3 that match the envelopes. So I will be cutting these down the middle at the minimum, maybe cutting strips, maybe cutting diagonals. All sorts of things start coming to mind. Some big dies. A second 3 set of cards, front and back. I will be trimming these up as well. Here's some more big dies. Very lovely. And then a solid, but this solid is the white core, which means you can emboss and then use the sanding block to get a sanded treatment. A final sheet of die cuts. Some little cute Night of Navy dots. And, oh, we've got strips instead of dimensional hexagons. That is interesting. We also have some tear and tape. So that is interesting for cards to have these sets of materials. Usually when we're doing 3D boxes and such, it makes me wonder if we're seeing a change in how we are provided the materials. So I won't be using the instructions, but I might peek, because of the change in materials supplied, I might peek at the instructions. If you've not seen these, I'm sure you have. The instructions over the years of me doing this have been updated. I see some, because of the larger pieces, doing the nice little, instead of round hexagons, having strips and lengths makes sense. And then there's this long piece using a piece of tear and tape. And then we have a popped up, let's see, hexagon. Now, this is a very interesting experiment. I was looking, oh, here it is. I found it. All right, so this particular die cut has a, what I would call a frame. So I see where the designers of the set felt that these hexagons that you normally get, which I have some here, all of mine are already trimmed up. Okay, here's some. So they usually provide the hexagon shaped, there's only one left on this sheet. I use all of them and the perimeter. Then I also tend to take my hexagons and I cut them into half hexagons to make them last longer. And the designers, very rightly so, decided that hexagons weren't going to work well on this particular frame piece. So they went ahead and changed up the shape of the foam dimensionals to long skinny strips to best allow a pop-up treatment for this frame that I am undoing. So here's the frame, and then it has the piece behind, and see, it'll be popped up. Oh, and that's if you follow the directions, of which I won't be, but I will be doing something fun with these. So now I understand the change. Colors. I usually like to read off the coordinating colors: balmy blue, boho blue, calypso coral, daffodil delight, early espresso, misty moonlight, night of navy, and old olive. So we will see which of those I will grab. I will go away and prepare some materials. I will come back and talk more about material prep as I find some interesting stuff to share with you, and then we will get going on creating the different units that I use to mix and match, and then we'll finish off with our showcase. So stay tuned. I will be right back. All right, I am back. I will have to say, we are having quite the day here. We have company coming. The neighbors' relatives are staying in our trailer for a week. We have not done much with the trailer in a few months. Last time we stayed in it was March. We're now in June, and the AC has decided that it cannot work. There's two ACs, so the bedroom AC works. So I've been trying to prep as well as helping Hub. So I'm gonna see if I can get through pretty much everything except the showcase in this sitting, so that I can focus more on helping him try to resolve the issue. So wish us luck. I've got some materials prepped, and I want to share extended supplies as well as prep of the supplies that were provided in the kit. And the very first thing I want to let you know is that I feel that the die cut negatives this time can make a nice stencil. So I took the one that had the vases and I glued them together into this shape. Picking glue because I did not have very much extra overlap. The lip that I had to work with was very skinny, so I couldn't really put an adhesive other than a skinny line of glue. All right, so I just went ahead and used the Night of Navy. You can see I've already used it. And I made this particular stenciled basic white. And I'm just going to grab, I don't have a full sheet of navy. I have a trimmed down navy. And I already have all of my cards that I want to share with you in a pile. So this one isn't big enough. So I'm going to do white on white. That's what I'm going to do. Actually, I should say navy on white. So here is, that's my next thing to show you. Here is the stenciled vases, navy on white. And I'm going to go ahead and do a little mini build up, just a simple one. You could add sponging on this one. It's if it doesn't have enough of a definition on the white. I want to get some pop-ups going here. And then the next prep with the existing materials, I took this balmy blue strip on one of them. It has both sides available, and I used the Go-To Greetings has a set of very tiny stamps that coordinate perfectly with this set. So I have this little hello here, and then I do have 3 different trims. And here are the trims I pulled. And there are many more trims actually to choose from. I just don't have very many here with me today. I think the linen thread. This is my very oldest one. Don't ask me how the newer one got used. This is an original old graphic that they used to have. So I have a little bow. There's this really pretty Night of Navy trim that I have. I just could not resist getting this. I had to get at least some kind of trim while I was getting all of my inks. It is called bordered trim, and it only comes in one color, Night of Navy. So I have got scissors around here somewhere. It could be that this teeny tiny hello gets to sit on this trim. On the busy vase. We already have provided dots that could go on here nicely, and then I pulled white classic matte dots in 2 sizes, teeny tiny and tiny. And these could be colored with blends if you wanted. So that is a cute layout for the stencil that I made. And the nice thing about the stencil is you can mask off whatever part of the stencil you don't want to use. I just use Post-it notes. So if you didn't want these 6, you could just put Post-it on there. You could put washi along there and just use these. You could line them up along the bottom. I just did some different angles because these already were at angles, and I just laid it down at a 45. So that is one of the first concepts. I'm going to set that aside. The next one, of course, that I had already mentioned is that the solid Night of Navy base. It is actually a white core. So I grabbed 3 embossing folders. I have, for this time, Painted Texture, Countryside Blossoms, and Timber 3D. And these are all current. The one that coordinates with it is the one that I've used, which is Countryside Blossoms, and I already have hanging around here with me I have the block, my sanding block, and now I may pause to see where I hid it, but moments ago it was just sitting here. Oh, it fell. Okay. My block, which has forever sat with the wrapper still on it, so that the reason why I keep this wrap on it is that my fingers then aren't having to be rubbing on this rough surface. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you how nicely we reveal the white. And you can just keep going until it is the way you like it. And I have already trimmed this down a bit. We will do a layout for it. I think I want that center flower. And it is centered, so when you cut this, you center your cardstock in the embossing folder, and then you have to cut all 4 sides equally. There are not very many embossing folders that have that, but this is one of them. All right, so that is what a lovely treatment you can get. I am going to add a white mat. There's this very simple arrangement that we had. I'm just taking off of the stenciled surface. I have added, okay, so now I'm going to add a supply. Earthen Textures dies. So in this case, I've also got the textured shimmer paper, which comes in 3 colors: balmy blue, white, and shaded spruce. And I have that sitting right here in the 2 colors. The 3rd color is, I've already got some pieces cut out of it. And it is just a lovely ribbed shimmery cardstock. And it comes in a 12 by 12. And I think you get two sheets of each color. So one of the cool things is, if you didn't think there was enough color behind this, cutting a square, I wish I had a square around here I'm going to cut something really quick on the fly. And see if we get enough out of this leftover piece. If I just slip this underneath, like so, and then we have that, you have just a very simple, cute card on here. And since we are talking about the earthen textures, I did want to share another treatment I did. I was playing with this funky textured lines that you can emboss with one of the dies that doesn't cut, it just embosses. And then I cut out the shape, and what it does is it makes the matte finish Night of Navy base that you get, it makes it shiny. I hope you can see that. So with, maybe you could rough these edges, and then you could have this be part of the, make it 3 vases, and then something like that if we were to texture that up. And I think that these 2 busy vases go very nicely with the very simple. And then I have a bigger white that I'm not going to disturb it though. You will see it momentarily. You could rough up the edges of both the shimmer paper and this layer, the navy layer. I have, if you wanted to add a little pop of color, so there's the balmy blue side, there's where I did the hello and it didn't come out very nice. Well, I did another hello. I've basically taken an entire length of the balmy blue that is this long, and I made a You're Invited. I made, this one hasn't got anything stamped on it yet, and then I made 2 hellos. And it looks like there's something not dry somewhere. I am not sure. Oh, I see it on my desk though. So let me get a paper towel and clean that up. Oh, I know what it is. That's not wet. That's the, this is all of the shavings or the little bits of paper fibers from sanding off the blue. So, no need to panic. We're all good. All right. So, I also have this bigger piece that if you needed to have this layout be a little more busy, you could absolutely take a piece of this blue and take the layout and put it over the top. Like so. So you can see where you can keep building until you are happy with your layers. And since we have this balmy blue, I'm going to toss a You're Invited over the top. And again, I think adding the white dots on this one would be the best. So I think I'm going to go ahead. When I do these layouts, I kind of let the sticky get dirty enough or de-stickified enough that I can move them around for my layouts for you guys. All right, so there is a layout. And again, I have not taken photography, so by the time I finish with this segment and then I go help Hub and come back and do the final layouts, we will see how many I remember. All right. So I've done the stencil and I've done the sanding. So now what I've done is, this is the sticky that's on the back of one of the dots, and now it has no dot. So what I'll do when I finally decide on what I want that dot to be on, it'll be one of these cards. I will just glue it on or take a little tiny piece of dot. All right, so I've shown you 2 trims and I've got a 3rd trim. The 3rd trim I will share on the Calypso Coral. Here's the card front. And then this wonderful scene is little foxes and flowers and leaves. So it's kind of like a forest theme, and that's where the 3D, Timber 3D comes in. and I went ahead, and this is actually, because of the vases, I'm finding the cards do not look like cards that I would make, which is always fun. I like to have the opportunity to create a different style of card than I normally would, and the paper pumpkins tends to bring that opportunity out. All right, so this is a piece of Calypso Coral. It has been run through with the Timber 3D, and you could keep it kind of monochromatic, and that's what I will show you first here. This is the bigger piece of foliage from the Earth and Textures. I'm using the plain vase die cut, and I could pop it up. I've already got some texture going with this piece of foliage coming out of it, but I do want it to pop up. I've got a wonderful, this is a clean and simple card, so there's the linen, and then this is one of the die cuts that comes already ready to go that says hello friend. And now let's see if I can get everything lined up looking cute for you guys. I never center things. This is just completely not me. I like wonky angles, and so this one, and I'll probably make myself put this one together. So now let's take our 3 dots, and you could decide, like the 3rd dot can go all the way on the mat. Try to tuck it in a place where it can be seen. Even, I'm thinking over here, oh, on the fox. And here is, like, I really liked this. When I was putting this together, I thought I would struggle with the Calypso Coral layouts, and then this happened. So, go figure. All right, so that is that one. Another thing that you could do if you wanted to make it not have the linen is somewhere floating around here. I had a piece. It's so funny. They are just sitting right here and then they disappear on me. But I have the whole roll of it right here. So there's the 3rd trim, the organdy, glittered organdy, which is now a web exclusive. So you find it online, but not in the catalog, I believe. And then if I just do white on white, I could just have a little piece of the organdy. I could even make it a little longer than that. I think the other piece that I had was longer, so extended off the vase. And then this is an even more simple, more monochromatic design that I really like. And I love the folds, so when you die cut this particular leaf, it is connected. Each of the leaves are connected, but there's little dashed lines. It's like it's scored. And one of the samples, sample cards, actually online here, shows the folding. So I did not come up with that. That is as intended on the samples provided by Stampin' Up. And it just gives it a wonderful 3D look. Let me know what you guys think of this one, because this one is really cool. All right, so we're gonna pull off the dots. The other embossing folder is the Texture 3D embossing folder. So here's what the backside looks. It's just like a painted canvas with thick paint, and then it doesn't show a lot on this busy front, but I wanted to sand a little bit and see if I can get some texture showing through, more of the painted texture. And give it kind of a weathered look. And now that we know we get a lot of remnant material, the fibers everywhere, I would, in this case also, I don't know that I trimmed this one down. I did not trim this down. So this one does not look centered to me. I always check the designs to see if it's centered so that I know I have to trim off the edges on all four sides, but this does not appear to have that. And so I'm just doing two sides. And then I want to rough the edges. You could do this with scissors. I would use old scissors, not sharp ones. You could use an old knife that you leave in your drawer. There are some tools out there, distress tools in the crafting area of, you know, like in Amazon. You can find a distressing tool. I just usually use either the knife, scissors, only old ones though, or this if I have it handy. And so this will be a fun weathered, I feel like I want to crinkle it. I do have six of these total. 3 of each card, the front and back's both done. So if I wanted to get really crazy, I absolutely could take this and crinkle. Here, let's just do it. What do you think? I'm feeling crazy and I'm frustrated that we have this AC problem. So this allows me to relieve some of the stress. And it already had that painted texture, and now it's torn. All right. So from here, we have this wonderful textury piece of cardstock. I'm going to put it on white for now, but I'm seeing these little bits of balmy blue, and it makes me want to put it on balmy blue. Isn't that fun? And then it's got this tear. I would just let the tear be a tear. I would even go over here and give some love to the other side. And then when I glue it down, I will let these imperfections stay. In fact, I will probably accentuate them. All right, so now I do have some pieces laying around. I have a vase done with the balmy blue shimmer paper. This is one of the earthen textures. And then I have this one. And then perhaps I've got a busy one. I would consider on this one, because it's so busy against the busy background, that I would sponge it. And then instead, there's this wonderful white vase, and I'm going to steal it from a different design. And I already did sponge this one. And it could be behind. We've got trim that could be behind. Just tuck it in like so. And then we've got little tiny sentiments. If you could do a bigger sentiment up higher somehow, but I've got all these little sentiments that I'm going to, let's do the "You're Invited." And then the "You're Invited" can be here. And then I have a little bit of foliage that I can use. Just a little bit. I like, not all 3 need it, but at least one having it is appealing to me. I do have I'm looking for that piece of organdy ribbon. But again, again, I can always cut more. I actually need it a little longer, I think. And I think it's totally fair to put more than one layer of trim on this. I haven't used the blue dots, so I'm going to go ahead and use them. I like to do threes in triangular shape. And don't line them up too close, though I am tempted to want to put one on the white. All right, I'm curious what you guys think of this one. So mixing and matching the various vases on here with the foliage options. Pretty much you're going to be able to layer up on either of the three, you know, the navy, the Calypso coral, or this design. And I do have, before I go further, I have two more base layouts to show you. I'm going to slip this aside because I want to share with you the Countryside Inn DSP. So you can see, I believe it's called Countryside Inn. It's Countryside. Let me grab the catalog really quick to make sure so I give you an accurate name. In the DSP. One thing I do with my catalogs that I highly recommend, if you get your catalog from me, if you don't get catalogs and you would like one, you can sign me up as your demonstrator on the store, and I send all of my customers a catalog. I recommend you go to like Staples is where I go here in Florida because there isn't an Office Depot. And for $4.85, I get it bound with a front and back clear protector. Normally they have black protectors for the back that are a little sturdier than the clear, but when I went to have mine done, the back, so you can see that the back of mine is the clear instead of the thicker protective back because they were out of them. So for $4.85, and then I buy removable tabs. This is a removable, though this paper, it does leave a sticky residue, so you don't want to have to move them too much. But they are, in theory, removable. But I leave them on year over year. They stay on my old catalogs. And I'm going to the DSP section because I'm going to get you the name of, it is Countryside Inn DSP. And I have all 6 sheets, and I want to show you the front and the back. So when you look at extending your vases and your labels, which I have a couple of different pieces that came in the kit that I haven't even shown you yet. This particular kit is just, our particular DSP is wonderful. It has some, like, this is a good masculine. I actually did a masculine birthday using this one. It is difficult to find a non-flower page. I will show you I think there's only 2, or that might be the only one. So this is the one that matches the kit. Right here is the kit page, the card base that I crumpled up, and this is the DSP page, the other half of the masculine. So this one you got to be careful of. I almost used this one, but these little balmy blue, or no, boho blue flowers are flowers. We have the foxes, so the Calypso coral, let me grab it here. This is the other base, is mimicking the blue of this page. Okay, here is another page that maybe could be masculine, but oh, those little guys are flowers. We have bunnies. When you first walk into our house, because we love bunnies, and it says, "Warning, you are now entering the bunny zone." And then there is a silver metallic-y bunny holding like a cracked glass ball. It's supposed to be for the garden, but we like it at the entry of the home. Little flowers, again, not masculine. This one, I love the trees. This is one of my favorite designs of the set. I think you could get away with it being masculine, but it has these little tiny flowers everywhere. I already showed you the foxes. And then there's this busy one. So I might be missing one design. I have a whole pack here, so let's see if I can find that one design. Oh, yes. Okay. There is a second masculine. I've used this one too for masculine. All right. So here is almost masculine, but those little petals, they look a little too feminine to me. But that is perfectly masculine. So you could definitely add any of these DSPs, especially this one here, I think, to this kit, and you can add this in strips, or you could wainscot, put it on the top, do some die cutouts of even the vases from the earthen textures, or any of the other fun shapes. And then the back is birds. So we have foxes, bunnies, and birds. Again, flowers. So that's the DSP that coordinates. I did want to give that a look and let you guys see it. And I have 2 more layouts. I am going to skip the stamping. I would love to be stamping, but I just, focusing is going to be an issue, as I begged Hub to let me get back to this and get this done. I do have 2 seconds that I want to share with you. There's these couple of stamps that I think deserve a quick stamping, so you can see what they look like and how they can be used. So I've got my own Knight of Navy. I do not open the spots anymore that I get. I use my own spots. I'm like, why am I opening these perfectly new spots only to use them one time and then they sit? So at some point, I will be figuring out what to do with them. So there's one of the stamps, and then this is a tenderly floral. I'm not sure if it's just meant to be like a horizontal or a vertical, but I am going to go ahead and I'm going to see how it looks like that. And I think that you could repeat this particular, I bet you that side, if we do our own little experiment here. Oopsie. If I do this, I think you're going to find, yeah, so basically it's supposed to be like a border, and you can repeat. So I did want to share that with you. That I noticed that about the stamp, and I love this vase stamp, so I wanted you to see it. This particular stamp, there is this white vase that is a die cut, and if you look at it size-wise, it is meant perfectly to be stamped over to get this design on it. You could also easily do a design across the front here, or even 3/4. There's a single flower. I think this flower, maybe I will do this. Though I don't want to spend the whole time doing 5 different, 3 or 4, however many I do. I think highlighting just the interesting things you can do with the stamps. So this is just decorating the front of this vase. Let's do one more on the other side. Over here. And then if you put this, if I bring out, oh, let's do this, the striped. that is what you can make with that flower stamp. I will say the sentiments to me for this kit are weak because I'm not, ironically, we are having company. So there's a thank you very much for your hospitality. And that's really funny because here we are trying to be hosts and and we're in Florida it's going to be 85 all week. And of course our one AC unit isn't working. At least the bedroom where they're going to be sleeping is working. So that's good. And they're going to be over at the neighbor's house during the day. So it's not like the end of the world. It's just really frustrating to have to deal with a problem like that when you should not be having the problem. All right, so 2 more designs to get through, and then I will let you guys go. I will then finish up with photography to call this one done. I think it's a very interesting kit. It is stretching my imagination. And the next one I want to share with you is another design with the one that I just crinkled up. And I wanted to introduce the Daffodil Delight, which was one of the coordinating colors, and you get this label. Here is this label that has the little yellow border and the sentiments from Go To Greetings, which has 3 different sizes of cursive fonts. The smallest size is this size, and the thinking of you fits here. Just a note, happy birthday, and thank you. All of those would fit in here. The hello would be kind of short. So it looks nice just cut out on little bits of paper like that. So this particular design uses grasses in the Daffodil Delight. If I wanted to dress this up a little bit more, I am looking for a smaller pop-up. You could add the white leaf if you wanted. You'd have to do some working through the height. I've attached these 2 together. But you can just slide this down into the tall vase. I've got my knotted navy trim that I love. And the thinking of you, I could make sure I don't cover the flowers. And then with the border, a very thin blue border and a very thin Daffodil Delight. That will be the on the base. And again, mixing and matching the different fonts. The other option is to play with the Calypso Coral. I don't have a full piece out. And then swapping out some of the pieces for the Calypso Coral. If I did that, you could then use the Hello Friend. But there's this one piece, this interesting vertical piece. I would get rid of this yellow, and in my case, it's attached. So there is the whole Calypso Coral. This particular banner I've got on another sample, but we get 3 of these to consider. So adding in more colors, absolutely can look at that. Maybe toss in a neutral bow. And then some navy dots. The navy dots are over here on my crinkled version of this. Don't forget that you've got the organdy that can go underneath here, or look at, we've got the blue. It's just fun to play around and see what kinds of designs you can come up with and how many colors you can get mingling. I am putting the blue dots on these blue flowers so that they don't get lost in the busyness. And then in this case, I would put the third one on the balmy blue vase. And I still think that I would want, even with some Calypso coral in here to get more color going. And this, look at this, I've got 2 trims on this one. So what do you think of that? Too many colors? Too busy? I think it can work. I just don't think that when you have kind of just some neutral designs like this, that you can introduce colors to get the card more interesting. And then I have one last concept to share, and then I'm going to let you guys go. Trying to keep this one fairly quick. And I did not trim this down, so this one is going to be just like it is. So a full A2 size. And then I've got some vertical banners going of various thicknesses and heights. I took the balmy blue, cut off enough of it to make a hello. And I have it going on. I've got this vase. And then a hello friend. And we can do the organdy. We can add the navy, or we can keep it minimal. We've got some, you know, a navy knot could go up here. Nope. So this one would require more work to get the colors balanced. I would need to work on some balmy blue options. It might be time to break out the balmy blue blends and take these white dots and color them. This little tiny dot, I wanted to show you, it is so small that it could just sit right there on Hello Friend. Oops, this is the one that I peeled off the back. So it's no longer sticky. And that's all I've got. Again, I think the kit is very interesting. I think that there are some nice supplies to coordinate with it. I like that we have, it seems like we always have at least one plant that has some pots, or we have vases, which is what the Earth and Textures is. And then that helps to pull together some of these other kits that come along that use them. And again, the sentiments on this, let's review them really quick. Thank you for your hospitality. We've got a you're invited, which I think I used. We've got the word friend, which I did not use, and welcome. So welcome, friend, you know, for somebody, a new neighbor, now that we're in a neighborhood, new neighbors would appreciate a welcome friend. And then the go-to greetings has these very nice small cursive that goes very nicely with all of the pieces, as well as the sizes of the labels that we are given. And I think that is all. I hope I'm not missing anything. All of the supplies that I have talked about today will be on the supplies list over on my blog. Leave your comments. What do you think of the kit? What was your favorite layout that I shared with you today? Be sure to do all the YouTube things, like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.